Back in the 50s, when computers were the size of living rooms, scientists thought to themselves, wouldn't it be swell if the computers could all link together and share information? The 60s, 70s and 80s saw this idea grow and develop. And in 1989, a man called Tim Berners-Lee changed the world forever when he invented the World Wide Web. This could honestly be the opening to any of my videos. Today I'm exploring internet addiction because it kind of fascinates me. The internet is so ubiquitous that it's kind of hard to live in today's world without it. The term internet addiction was coined by Dr. Ivan K. Goldberg as a joke. He co-founded a website called scinet.com, which was a place for psychiatrists to share interesting news and studies with each other. And in 1995, he thought he was going to prank the readers of scinet.com by creating a fake disorder. Internet addiction disorder, which was characterized by important social or occupational activities that are given up or reduced because of internet use, fantasies or dreams about the internet, and voluntary or involuntary typing movements of the fingers. The last one seems a little bit absurd, but I have caught myself reading something and trying to scroll up, but then realizing that it's physical media and not digital. To Goldberg's surprise, his joke didn't rouse a hearty laugh or even a pat on the back. Instead, he had people reaching out to him telling him that they think they had this disorder and they would like help. Goldberg didn't quite believe what was going on and was kind of just like, right, guys, it's not drugs though. It's not actually addictive. But he set up a support group nonetheless, which is the least he could do given that he inadvertently attempted to make fun of these people. It's hard to tell how many people are affected by internet addiction because there is no standard way of measuring it. Just because you use the internet a lot to watch YouTube videos or do some online shopping or scroll social media doesn't mean that you're addicted to it. The trouble comes from when these activities start to interfere with your daily life. So for example, you aren't engaging in the conversation that's happening in front of you because you're too busy looking at what's online. Or you get feelings of withdrawal when you're not using it. Or you forgot to do something that was important to you because you were looking online. Like you forgot to watch Eurovision because you were too busy looking at tweets about Eurovision. So why am I talking about this? I find it interesting because I don't ever consider myself offline except when I'm asleep. I browse my social media and emails throughout the day. My work involves creating content that lives online. And there's supporting admin for that, which is all online. And even when it comes to writing and researching what I'm going to discuss, I use the internet. I also use the internet to listen to podcasts and music when I go for a walk, when I'm driving. And I use the internet to watch shows and find out information. I always feel like I'm online. Last weekend, I was enjoying the greatest annual highlight of every year, the Eurovision Song Contest. It's always a big deal to me, but genuinely this year was so good. My friends and I had rented a hot tub especially to watch it, and during that experience I learned that my phone is not as waterproof as it said it was. I didn't go crazy, but somehow after some water contact, the phone was still vibrating and making noises, so it was receiving all of this information, but nothing was happening on the screen. It was completely blank. I used my laptop to look up some troubleshooting, internet to the rescue, but it didn't work. So since I wasn't going to carry my laptop around in my arms, I found myself offline and digitally stripped. I didn't even have the means of telling the time. I wasn't panicked, but I was hyper aware of how inconvenient this was. First of all the means in which people would be getting in touch with me were no longer there. The phone would vibrate, but it wouldn't show what was going on. I was still at my friend's house the next morning and I wanted to go to a phone repair shop, and then I realised that I wouldn't be able to rely on my phone as a sat-nav, so I had to look up a map and then memorise the directions. And then I thought to myself, okay, whilst my phone's being repaired, I'll go and do some food shopping. But my food shopping list lives on my phone. So I used my computer to access the notes on my phone and then copied them out onto a piece of paper. When I dropped my phone off at the repair shop, the guy said to me, come back in half an hour. And I had no means of telling the time, so I just had to guess how long half an hour was. The whole thing really put into perspective how much I rely on my phone and how much of a role the internet plays in my life. Researchers suggest that it's not so much the amount of time that we spend on the internet that creates an issue, rather it's how we spend our time on the internet. Much like other dependency disorders, internet addiction disorder seems to affect the pleasure centre of the brain. The addictive behaviour triggers a release of dopamine, and over time, more and more of this behaviour is needed in order to trigger the same pleasurable response, and this creates a dependency. But what interests me about this is that I think it'd be really difficult to form a life without the internet. People out there will be doing this already, I absolutely know that. But in general, we are moving away from traditional means of communication and function in favour of being online. Dr. Kimberly Young, an internationally renowned expert on internet addiction, talks about the similarities between internet addiction and food addiction. You can't go cold turkey because this is a fundamental part of existence, but you can set boundaries. The consequences of people with this addiction have been as extreme as not being able to hold down a job, destroying relationships, and in South Korea there's reportedly been 10 cases of cardiopulmonary related deaths in internet cafes. In fact, some governments are investigating what their role is in protecting people from internet addiction. Dr. Young suggests that we check our checking. That is to keep an eye on how often you're checking your smartphone and make the effort to do it less, especially when you want to be present. She also suggests setting time limits, so this could be a certain time of the day where you don't use the internet, or doing a 48-hour digital detox. She also suggests disconnect to reconnect, which is where you don't use your smartphone at all when you're engaging with other people. I really agree with this last rule. I almost never use my phone when I'm interacting with other people. Not never, because I sometimes do send the odd message or vote for my favourite Eurovision act when I'm in the company of others, but most of the time I won't be looking at my phone. I just feel like you can do that anytime when there's not someone in front of you. But the whole experience has got me thinking about my reliance on the internet. As a minimalist, I've removed so much from my life in order to avoid complication and excess. But maybe this has incited a shift into excess of online use. I don't experience the addiction symptoms that have been outlined, but I do want to feel like there's more to life than what's online. It's been really hard this last year because you've not been able to just go and visit people and do things in person or take part in activities physically. And although I want to be careful, I really do just want to be more present. I want to have fun in person and I want to connect. Something I've been thinking a lot about recently is when people talk to me about TV shows and what they've been watching lately and catching up on lots of different things, and I always find it kind of hard to relate. I don't make a lot of time for watching television because I'm usually creating. And that's a good thing. I really enjoy doing that. And I wonder if this principle can kind of overspill into other parts of my life. I really like to spread out my content. I don't like to binge because I feel like I just forget what's happened. And when I watch something slowly, like 1 or 2 episodes a night, I get to mull it over a lot better. So instead of watching a couple of episodes of something and then trying to find something else to fill the gap, or maybe being a little bit over obsessed with creating things, I could do something recreational that's just for me and that takes place offline. I could get back into playing music and maybe enter the Eurovision Song Contest next year. Thank you for watching this video today. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like and subscribe. And if you know anyone else who would be interested in this kind of content, share it with them. Write a song about my channel and release it and get famous and enter Eurovision. Or however you want to share it is fine. See you next time.